Hi everyone, I am Professor Jagger, and what I want to do in this PowerPoint is give you a course overview of the topics we will be covering and assignments that will be due throughout the next 6 weeks we spend together. In this course, students will study the concepts of human behavior drawn from psychology and sociology applied to the business organization. Group behavior, similarities and differences, team building, and structure are considered. Development of the participants' leadership style is also addressed. Here are the course outcomes that you should be able to achieve by the time you successfully complete this course. The first one is to demonstrate knowledge of fundamental theories and principles of organizational behavior. You will also apply theories and principles of organizational behavior to organizational settings. You will understand why people in groups and organizations feel and behave as they do. You'll relate the context patterns to the development of leadership and intellectual capital. You'll identify processes and methods that can improve the behavior and attitudes of organizational members and thus their effectiveness. You will choose managerial strategies that fit organizational challenges, understand the characteristics of effective and ineffective team dynamics, recognize the complexity of leading successful organizational change initiatives, understand the effects of organizational culture on individual and group behavior, and finally, you will demonstrate effective team skills as well as proficient writing and presentation skills. In the next few slides, we are going to review the roadmap of the weekly topics we will cover over the next 6 weeks. In week 1, we are going to define organizational behavior and explore the concept of diversity. Understanding and defining organizational behavior will help make you a better employee and a more effective manager. As you review the materials for this learning unit, I want you to consider the organizations that you engage with on a regular basis and see if you can start relating some of the concepts in Chapter 1 to those organizations. Also in Chapter 1, we are going to look at diversity. Diversity is often thought of as a lightning rod issue in organizations and in politics. It is critical, however, for a dynamic and rich organization. Diverse considerations, experiences, and insights mean greater success for responding to customer needs. As you review the material in this learning unit, I want you to consider the ways in which your organization facilitates a diverse environment for its employees and its customers. In week 2, we are going to look at different attributes of individuals and organizations. Hopefully, we have all had a job that we have really loved, the kind of job where you are excited to start the day and look forward to the role and what it will bring to you. Quite possibly, a number of us have also held roles that we haven't particularly liked or that have left us struggling to find our place. More likely, we felt both in the course of one job. Part of what we explore in week 2 will focus on the features and attributes of attitude, both positive and negative, that contribute to job satisfaction. We will also look at, in week 2, managing one's emotions and moods and the concept of emotional intelligence. Managing one's emotions is a key for success. While the expectation is that we become adults, we have the skills well honed, the reality is that isn't always the case. In this part of week 2, you will develop an understanding of emotions and moods, specifically as it relates to the workplace and organizational development. We will also explore the concept of emotional intelligence. Finally, the last portion of week 2, we will explore the personality and values. Personalities and values are very individual influences on how people engage with the world around them. They spring from experience, learning, and belief systems, as well as intrinsic, which means internal, and extrinsic, which means external, motivators. Each member of the organization brings his or her own personality and values, all layering to contribute to the organizational culture and ultimately behavior. This part of week 2 focuses on the impact and opportunities to shift organizational behavior based on that knowledge. In week 3, we are going to explore decision making and motivation. Understanding one's environment, experiences, biases, and prejudices, it becomes easier to discern how decisions are made by individuals and at various organizational levels. We will also look at why we work. What are the factors that encourage us to participate? Is it extrinsic, which means our paycheck, the prestige of being in a role or organization, the feedback from others? Or is it intrinsic, which is our sense of pride and accomplishment, our personally developed work ethic? This learning unit will explain the various motivators for work and the impacts on the organization. In week 4, we're going to look at the effects of bringing individuals together within an organization. We've all had to do it. Work in a group or a team to accomplish something. In fact, you will do it in this course. It might have been a major project at work, an assignment in a class, or a do-it-yourself effort at home that you have worked on previously. And most likely, your experience includes groups that work really well together and those that have been a big flop. What makes one group more successful than another? This learning unit will delve into the exploration, focusing specifically on groups within the working environment. Also, as many of you know, there is a real distinction between management and leadership. Is it possible to craft an entire degree program around the concepts and theories of leadership? Yes, it is. In fact, that is what my doctorate is in. But for this course, we'll focus on some of the foundational thoughts and styles found in literature research. In order to get the highest level performance from your organization, it's important to consider which leadership style is most appropriate at which time. My PhD also did that, where I looked at the leadership styles and the history of leadership and leadership in organizations, and my specialty contact area was in business management, so it linked the two very well, which I hope you will feel like we do also in this part of chapter or of week 4. Finally, we are going to look at how, as decisions are made, leaders are trusted or not, and as successes and failures occur throughout the organization, individuals can be given power or have it taken away. The power can lead to the ability to influence and lead change within organizations. The power dynamic can push an organization to succeed beyond its wildest dreams or to crash and burn. This part of week 4 presents some thoughtful considerations about power and influence that can occur within an organization. In week 5, we are covering some really large and very important topics, including organizational culture, understanding negotiation, and leading change. When working within a group of individuals, bargaining and negotiations are key tactics to find a sense of compromise and move forward on issues and ideas. The idea of, quote, giving to get is as old as time, and it is required for successful navigation of the workplace environment. I really love the topic of negotiation because honestly, we can use it in our everyday lives as well. In prior weeks, we have also alluded to the organizational culture. Culture is the representation of organizational behavior through cues that are obvious, which is the state of the facilities, the choice of artwork, brand representations, and etc. And they may also be subtle, such as meeting and email etiquette, underlying assumptions of power, and so on. This part of Chapter 5 is an opportunity to understand organizational culture, which will provide an important piece of your business application presentation that is due in week 6. Also in week 5, we are going to explore the concept of change. Change is a little bit like death and taxes. It's inevitable, But the real question is, how will your organization behave in the face of change? And how can you, as a leader, facilitate the best possible outcome? This part of week 5 will provide some insight on the best ways to manage change. And finally, in week 6, we are going to bring it all together. This is where you will submit your business application presentation, your company analysis paper, and take the final exam. Over the next few slides, we will discuss these assignments, as well as others that are in the course in more detail, as well as the books that you will need for this course. For this course, you will need these two books, Organizational Behavior by Robbins and Judge, the 17th edition, and also the Writer's Reference book. I'm not as concerned that you have the correct edition here. This one I'm showing is the 8th. Some of you may receive a different edition, and it's fine because the updates have been small. It's important that if you have not received your material that you reach out to the virtual bookstore as soon as possible. Don't panic. We can work on it and adjust due dates if necessary. But I need you to reach out to them and let them know you have not received your books, and let me know as well. If you don't hear from them in a few days, really a day or two, also let me know so that I can get involved and see where the books are and get them to you as soon as possible. On these next few slides, we are going to go over the different categories of assignments that you will complete in this course. The first one is discussion boards. In various weeks, you will participate in discussions with your classmates. Discussion posts contain 3 parts: the preparation, which is where you will do your research and your writing, your initial post, which is due Friday by 11:59 Eastern Standard Time, and your response posts, which are due by Sunday at 11:59. Your initial post should have an explicit thesis and specific points that you are making that is/are articulated. It should also explicitly connect to the readings and the media of the week. Many of the prompts are multifaceted. Be sure to address all of the aspects of the prompts. Your initial post for this class should be 300 to 350 words using complete sentences and proper syntax, spelling, and grammar. Please read the instructions posted online to fully understand discussion expectations. You will also respond to posts from 2 classmates. You need to read their posts carefully and thoughtfully and respond in 150 to 200 words. All responses should include at least one source appropriately cited. The source should be something other than the textbook, and it should be different from the source that you used in the initial post. Responses can include elaborations on the point made by your classmates, challenges to the classmate's position, follow-up questions for your classmate, or a request for clarification. Keep all responses polite and professional in nature, and please read the instructions posted online to fully understand the response expectations each week. You will also complete for this class a positional outline journal essay. You will see this referred to as POJ in different parts of Canvas. In weeks 1 through 4, you will create this essay. You will write the essays in the weeks assigned, but you will submit all 5 parts together in week 4 as one Word document. For your essays, you will prepare your responses for the provided questions and topics. Each entry is tied to an activity or resources found in weeks 1 through 4. Each requires that you follow the format by answering a set of related questions identified each week. The positional outline journal essay is more than a mere answering of the issues presented in the assigned activity. You will also need to consider the broader issues or themes and provide analysis about the connection to the learning in this course and your personal experiences. This POJ essay is designed to help you begin the habit of synthesizing the material you are learning to your role as an emerging leader in the business community. Please read the instructions for each week that are provided in Canvas in the course. The essay is due by 11:59 p.m. on Sunday of week 4. The big group project for this course is the company analysis paper. I will discuss that on the next slide. The final paper will be due in week 6, but leading up to that, in weeks 1 through 5, you will work on a group project as assigned by the professor. Each of these will be pieces of the final paper, so you're working towards that final paper each week and not saving it all to do in week 5 or week 6. You will collaborate with your group and prepare these 5 parts, one submitted each week in weeks 1 through 5. Again, the final project will be submitted in week 6, which I'll talk about in a few slides. Each part of the company analysis of these parts 1 through 5 is due in the week specified by that Sunday at 11:59 Eastern Standard Time. In week 6, you will submit the final company analysis paper. You will combine the parts 1 through 5 of the project that you completed with your groups in weeks 1 through 5, as well as the summary you will complete in week 6. You will create a final paper that contains a full analysis of the points identified in the assignment instruction, and your group will also include at least 3 academic sources in the final submission, which should be formatted in APA style. Both in-text citations and a reference page must be included, but they do not count towards the required paper length. In addition, your group must include 3 course topics in the analysis. It is highly recommended that you find and use citations in your work that you turn in throughout the course and note them accordingly in your weekly submissions. Your paper must be 2,000 to 2,500 words in length, and again, the title page and reference page do not count in the length requirement. Each part of the assignment has a specific word length that, when followed, should help you arrive at the minimum word count expectation. This final paper is due by Sunday at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time of week 6. You will complete a quiz each week in weeks 1 through 5. The number of questions and time allowed for the quiz varies, but only one attempt is allowed for each one. You need to complete the quiz in one setting. You cannot leave and come back. Quizzes are due by Sunday at 11:59 Eastern Standard Time of each applicable week. In this course, you will complete a business application presentation. There are 2 parts to this presentation. In week 5, you will complete the SHINE model for the organization you will use in the business application presentation. You will include this completed model in your business presentation application as a slide. For this assignment in week 5, you will consider the culture of that organization and identify 2 aspects of the culture that are positive. You will explain why you've come to that conclusion using the model framework. Then, you will provide 2 aspects of the culture that could be improved, explaining why you've come to that conclusion using the model framework. You will not submit anything in week 5. You should just work on this worksheet. The business application presentation assignment is due by Sunday of week 6. In week 6, you will submit a voiced over PowerPoint presentation in which you will discuss organizational culture and how the employees learn about the culture at the company. In week 5, you will be presented with readings and activities about the organizational culture. Specific to this assignment, you want to be sure to include the activity that you did in week 5 for the SHINE organizational culture model. You must present in PowerPoint, and the presentation should last between 4 and 5 minutes and contain at least 6 slides. A voiced-over narrative of your material is required for this assignment. Again, this assignment is due by Sunday at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time of week 6. Finally, in week 6, you will complete the final exam, which will consist of multiple choice and short answer questions. The exam is timed and you will have one attempt to complete this exam. It must be completed in one sitting. The exam is due by Sunday at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Organizational behavior is a topic that I am passionate about, and I hope that you will also feel that way as we learn about it together over the next 6 weeks. To provide some inspiration, I've included some quotes here. The first one is, the biggest threat to an organization's success isn't necessarily the competition. Often it's the fear that lives within its own walls. That fear leads to all sorts of problems and causes people to believe that they need to create walls and barriers to protect themselves, even though those walls and barriers make it harder for others in the organization to succeed. Stephen Robbins said that. Another one is by D. Hawk, who stated, an organization, no matter how well designed, is only as good as the people who live and work in it. Finally, Peter Drucker said something along the same lines when he said, the organization is, above all, social. It is people. I hope you enjoy this course as we move through it together, and don't hesitate to let me know if you have any questions.